Hey Grizzlies, how are you today? It is Mrs. Smith and today is Friday, and you know what that means. First chapter Friday. I just finished this book yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And oh my gosh, I love it, love it, love it, love it. I really hope that we are back in school soon because I can't wait for some of you to read this one. It's so good. It's called We're Not From Here, and it's written by Geoff Rodkey, and it is about futuristic Earth, like way into the future. The planet Earth is no longer inhabitable anymore. We can't live there. And all the human beings are sort of displaced. We need a new planet. And so we are invited by this group of aliens to come and live on their planet. And when we get there, we realize that not so many of the aliens are happy that we're there. And so it's a story about what it's like to move somewhere brand new, where you don't know anything about the place, the language, the things that people do, the sort of cultural norms, and what it feels like to just not be from here, and to have everybody remind you of that, and to have people not be so happy that you're there. But I love this book, and I'm going to share the first chapter of it with you today. I love the dedication on this book. It says, to any kid who's ever had to start over in a new place, which in one way or another is pretty much all of us. I love that. So chapter 1 is called The Giant Bug Rumor. The first time I heard anything about Planet Choom, we'd been on Mars for almost a year. I was sitting in the rec center with Naya and Jens. We were taking a break from shooting a video we'd written. It was either How to Be Your Own Pet or Top 10 Toilets of the Mars Station. I can't remember which. Naya leaned in over the table and whispered, like she was telling us a big secret. My dad says they found a planet humans can live on permanently. Like, we can breathe the air and everything. The thing is, and she looked around to make sure nobody else was listening before she went on, there's already aliens there, and they look like giant bugs. What kind of bugs? Jens asked. I don't know, said Naya. I think mosquitoes? Are they dangerous? Like, do they have stingers? A planet full of giant mosquitoes sounded terrifying. Naya shook her head. They don't act like mosquitoes. They just look like them, and they're really smart. As smart as humans? Yeah, like maybe even smarter. Are they friendly? I guess. I mean, they know we exist and they haven't tried to kill us or anything. I'd rather just go to Novo, I said. This was a few months after the governing council had announced they had discovered Novo in a nearby solar system. It was a planet that could almost, but not quite, support human life, and the GC was studying whether they could terraform it, which meant changing its environment enough for us to live there. Naya snorted. Novo's never gonna work, she said, shaking her head. If it could, we'd all be headed there by now. Not necessarily, I told her. Novo's really far away, so they have to be sure, and it's hard to study it from here. Plus, they need time to get all the biosuspension pods ready. The trip to Novo would take 15 Earth years, and the only way for a whole ship full of people to survive the trip without running out of food and water was to go into biosuspension. Supposedly, that was just like going to sleep, except it lasted much longer and you barfed a lot when you woke up. Is that what your mom told you? No, it was in the weekly announcements. My mom doesn't tell me anything. Mom had been elected to the governing council when she got set up right after the first refugee ships arrived on Mars. It was a big deal, I guess, but it didn't get my family any special treatment or inside info. All it meant for me was I never saw Mom because she was always working. I'm just going back to Earth, Jens announced. I rolled my eyes as Naya sighed. You can't go back to Earth, she told Jens for about the 40th time. Why not? Everybody there is dead. So nobody can live there anymore. Nuh-uh, Jens insisted. We can live there again. We just have to wait a while. Yeah, like 1,000 years. Nuh-uh, it's just a year or two. My dad said so. Your dad is wrong. No, he's not. They probably would have kept arguing until Jen started to cry, which is what usually happened when we tried to change his mind about Earth. But just then an old man passed by our table. He must have been on one of the last ships to arrive because his face was pockmarked with dark red sores from radiation exposure. When he saw us, he stopped and looked down. You kids making another one of your videos? Yes, sir. I smiled at him. He smiled back. Whenever we made a new video, the guy who ran movie night at the rec center played it on the big screen before the main feature. We had done about half a dozen of them, and they had turned Naya, Jens, and me into minor celebrities among the 100 or so people who usually showed up for the movie. Keep it up, the man told us. Folks need to laugh, now more than ever. And not too many people laughed at the last one, Naya reminded him. I had written fabulous fashion looks for fall myself after I had outgrown everything I had brought from Earth, and my parents sent me to the clothing exchange. All they had in my size were a pair of worn-out jeans with mysterious stains on them and a grimy t-shirt that said Taylor Swift World Tour 2028. Now I was stuck wearing them, even though the stains grossed me out and I had never listened to Taylor Swift. So I wrote a video making fun of the clothing exchange, but it came out more angry than funny, and the people didn't like it nearly as much as they had liked the other ones. Was that the one about the clothes? The old man grimaced in sympathy. Yeah, that was a bit of a misfire, but don't let it get you down. You know what they say, dying's easy. Comedy, it's hard. People say that? I had never heard it before. To be honest, it seemed a little inappropriate. Yeah, they used to, back in my theater days. Guess it made more sense back then. He chuckled. Point is, just keep up the good work. You're raising people's spirits. We need all the joy we can get around here. Then he put a scarred hand on my shoulder and lowered his head a little closer to mine. Speaking of which, I heard a rumor. I knew what was coming next before he even said it. Is your sister Isla Mafoon from that pop singer show? Yes, sir. Isla had been playing guitar and singing since she was 6. By 12, she was writing her own songs, and at 16, she went to an open audition for Pop Singer, the highest-rated TV show in our country. She made it all the way through to the semifinals, where she sang one of her own songs, Under a Blue Sky, to a TV audience of 60 million people. Going into the live final episode, she had more votes than any of the other contestants. But the world had been slowly falling apart for a while, and 2 days before the episode was supposed to happen, it suddenly fell apart a whole lot faster. Instead of going to the airport and flying to see Isla and the Pop Singer finale, we wound up at the spaceport, where we were lucky enough to get seats for all 4 of us on a ship to Mars. Most people weren't that lucky. The man brightened when I told him Isla was my sister. People always did, just like they always looked crushed after they got the answer to their follow-up questions. You think she might grace us with that beautiful voice of hers? Oh, she doesn't sing anymore, sir. I'm sorry. Not at all? No, really? No. She says she doesn't like to perform without a guitar. Oh, there's got to be one around here somewhere. No, sir. Mars has no guitars. She can still sing, though, can't she? I nodded. Yes, sir, but her heart's not in it right now. The rest of her wasn't either. Most days, my sister wouldn't even get out of bed. She would just lie on her bunk watching old episodes of the Birdleys and Ed and Fred on her screen. Having one of us in there 24/7, although on Mars it was technically more like 25/7, made our shoebox-sized living compartment feel even more cramped and stuffy than it already was. Worse, Isla wasn't even nice about it. She barely looked at me except to snarl whenever I asked her to put her headphones on or move her feet so I could get into our drawer. I was pretty fed up with her moping, and Mom and Dad said I should feel sorry for her. When something terrible happens, Mom told me during one of the rare times when we were alone, it affects people in different ways. Isla hasn't been able to bounce back from it like you have. We just have to give her some time. Personally, I thought a year, although on Mars it was technically more like a year and a half, should be plenty of time to bounce back, but Isla didn't seem like she was even trying. Sometimes when I came into our compartment, I'd catch the sound of one of her songs coming out of her screen. She always shut it off right away, but I suspected that when nobody else was around, she was watching her old TV performances over and over again. It didn't seem like a healthy thing to do. Even so, when strangers like the old man asked about Isla, I smiled at them and lied a little. I think she'll sing again soon, I told him. She just needs some more time. Well, you tell her she's got some big fans on this station, he said, giving my shoulder a friendly little squeeze. I will, sir. Thank you. Thank you. You kids have a good day now. Keep up the good work. He ambled off toward the library. How is your sister? Naya asked me. Angry. Dad started making her go to the exercise room every morning. Well, angry is better than depressed, right? Jens asked. I don't know. She's not as mean to me when she's just depressed. Maybe she's jealous because you're more famous than she is now, said Naya. That's ridiculous. Isla's much more famous than me. Not as a percentage. Naya tapped her screen open. Think about it. 60 million people watched that show when she was on Earth, right? But that was out of 9 billion people on Earth. She punched the numbers into her screen's calculator. And 100 people watch our videos, but that's out of 2,400 total. So, according to my calculations, she looked up and grinned at me. You are 6.25 times more famous on Mars than your sister was on Earth. That's not funny, I told Naya. It's just sad. Jen's shoulders slumped. I hate math, he muttered. I reached across the table and smacked Naya's hand. Tell me more about these giant bug people. I don't know anything else, said Naya, just that they exist. And we asked them if we can come live on their planet. No way, said Jens. It'll never happen. I mean, can you imagine living on a planet full of giant bugs? I tried to imagine it. I did, but I couldn't. It just didn't seem possible. But then it actually happened. All right, so that was the first chapter of this really great book, We're Not From Here. I encourage you to read it. If you can get your hands on a copy. If not, it'll be in our library when we get back to school. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe and reading. I hope you're reading. Obviously, I hope you're reading. Please be reading. Please be making good choices. I miss you guys so much. You have no idea. No idea. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you miss me that much too. I hope you do. Because I really miss you guys. But hang in there and take care and be good and make good choices. And I'm sorry that you're hearing all this in the background. My kids and my husband are playing Mario Odyssey all together, and it's quite loud. But I hope you're hanging in there. Like I said, I miss you. Be good. Make good choices. Read books. See you soon.